I am so thrilled at the direction this company is going. And I've been very fascinated in this season to also feel this immense underlying grief.
Welcome to Here's What I Learned. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes, System Strategist and Operations Support Specialist. My guests and I share the lessons we've learned about making value-based decisions for our businesses, leading our teams in new ways, and rejecting traditional business advice when that advice does not align with the life we want to live. If you're a solopreneur or small business owner tired of the same old way of doing business, then you want to stick around and take a listen. So put in those earbuds, get your morning mile started, and enjoy the episode. On today's episode, I'm talking with Sarah Heeter. Sarah is the founder and CEO of Podfox Media, a podcast production and strategic consulting company. She's also the host of the podcast Big Brave Business and my go-to for anything podcast related. Here's a fun fact about Sarah. She was a state champion in speech in high school, performing monologues. Take a listen to our conversation. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to Here's What I Learned again.
Thanks for having me back.
I loved our first conversation, and I love that we're talking again. I think I had you in season 2, and now we're on season 7. So it's been a minute.
That's wild. Yeah, how cool is that?
It's quite cool. I'm glad that I'm still here. I may take long pauses, but I'm continuing to put them out into the world. So
yeah, whatever makes it sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Sarah, what does it mean to do business your way?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what we were just saying, right? But for me, what I was thinking I wanted to say in this conversation about that is really 2 things. One is this explicit?
Yeah, feel free to swear all you want because I do.
Okay. So one is, I think it's paying attention to the things that make you feel good and the things that make you feel like shit. And it's learning to tune out the things that make you feel like shit. And I guess that's kind of related to my second one, which is like, I think listening more to yourself than you do to what other people tell you you're supposed to be doing. And I think what I say all the time is you already have everything you need inside of you. And it's just tapping into what you already know you need. And I think even when it comes to like coaching and things like that, like the best coaches are bringing out what you already know. Right. And so I think, spending less time in places and with people who make you feel like shit, and also listening to yourself, what you already know. You can call it intuition, but I think it's more than that. It's your experience. It's your knowledge. It's like trusting yourself. Yeah.
Can you give an example of something that you maybe let go of that maybe you were doing at the beginning and you're like, no, this feels like shit, and you have let go of?
Yeah, I think one big thing is unfollowing kind of people that I realized were making me feel that way. Right. So there's a lot of kind of teachings out there that are like sell to people's pain points and blah, blah. And like literally what that can look like, it doesn't have to, but what that can look like is like, hey, make people feel terrible and then sell them the solution to fix it. And I don't like scrolling social media to feel terrible. That's like a really bad feeling. So I think and I'm not trying to knock, like, listen, if that's the advice that you've been given and that's what you're trying to take, I'm not trying to knock, you're doing the best you can, right? And I think there's an assumption like we're all doing the best we can with the information that we have. And I think selling to pain points doesn't have to look like that. But I think that a lot of times that's what it kind of turns into. And so unfollowing is a big thing. Like that made me feel so empowered, is just like, I don't need to follow this. I can still go look at this person if I want to like catch up with them or something like that. But if it's somebody who it matters whether I'm following them or not, I can mute it instead of totally unfollowing. But so like if it's a personal relationship, but honestly, like unfollowing and muting is just like my biggest advice. And then I think like a tangible thing in my business, which is related, is I thought I had to have digital courses. That was like something that was really being taught. So I started my business in 2019, and at the time, and that's kind of what was being taught in the realm of online business, is like you have to have a digital course, and maybe you have to have a suite of digital courses. And I thought, I'm a theater kid. I love performing. I wanted to be an actress when I was a kid. So I was like, I'm going to love this, right? I love public speaking. Like I'm going to record this course. And I think I have a natural knack for like training and education, and I've studied a lot about kind of learning and brain development. And so I'm like, okay, like I'm going to be so good at this. And I hated building that first course. I hated it. So that course does not exist anymore. I think ultimately, probably with who we're trying to serve and the different ways of learning, I think probably digital courses in some form will exist in my business at some point. But I mean, that doesn't have to be my offer. It doesn't have to be a digital course. So I feel like there's always something. I think then it's been memberships, masterminds. Like there's always like a trendy thing that is now the thing that everybody's offering. And if you love it, great. And if you don't love it, you don't have to do that. Like it does not have to look like that. I don't know. So yeah.
I think it's really funny that you mentioned the digital course, because in one of my Facebook groups today for online business managers, somebody was talking about how they were going to need to cut back on the number of hours they were serving clients, but they couldn't really afford to cut back on revenue. It was a situation where husband was being deployed and now they're going to be a single parent at home with small children. The very first response was, have you thought about creating a digital course? It's like, it's not the solution to everything, folks. It's for some people.
It could be a solution for her, but I mean, it also might not be. And I think, yeah, the two biggest pieces of advice, or I guess the three biggest pieces of advice you're going to get when you ask a question like that are: number one, raise your prices; number two, start a course; number three, start a membership. And like, any of those things could be a good answer, but it's also not a blanket answer for everyone. And I think being able, when you're going to make a suggestion like that, I think being able to say, like, here's the pros and cons, like, here's where this could be for you if, and here's the ways it might not be for you. And I think being able to like really speak to that, because I think we're all looking for like that magic ticket out of feeling like shit. We all feel like shit all the time, because honestly, that make you feel like shit marketing is capitalism. Like we're surrounded, we're inundated. Like you drive down the road, billboards are making you feel bad. Magazine article. I mean, no one really reads magazines, I guess, physically anymore, but it's literally everywhere. Commercials. Like the whole point is to make you feel terrible about you, and then to sell you the solution. And so because we're inundated with this messaging, we're all looking for that magic bullet of what is my ticket out of feeling bad, right? And so I understand why we're all holding on to those kind of quick get rich quick schemes, or like, oh, this is what's going to work, this is what's going to get me out of this hole. But like, if you're listening to this and you felt any of this, if this resonates at all, I just want to tell you, like, you're not alone. We literally all feel that way. We literally all feel that way. You're not, like, it is not you. There's nothing wrong with you. And it's how we're socialized literally in society. So yeah, I get why people make those suggestions. I wish there could be a little more nuance to like providing a solution like that. Like it could look like this. It could look like this.
Yeah. Yeah. With poking those pain points, marketing, etc., that's the advice that has been around for quite a long time. And I think a lot of people are realizing it's not so much about poking the pain points, but it's empathizing with what people are struggling with. And there's a big difference in how you share that. I also know that the way you sell, market is probably against a lot of people's suggestions or recommendations, who are those quote unquote gurus, which is to give away 90 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about why you chose to go that route?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I am a podcast producer, and I offer a free 90-minute one-on-one strategy session. And it's literally like, we're going to sit down, or it doesn't, I guess it could be 2-on-1 if you have a co-host, but an individual private session to go through what the important parts are in launching a podcast and like how to get started. And then the end is, of course, opportunity for like Q&A and the sales pitch, right? Of like, here's how my company can support you. Here's how my team can support you. And I think that when I first started, there was really this lean toward like the quickest sales calls possible, or not even doing a sales call. So 30 minutes, 15 minutes, or none at all. Like a 15-minute sales call. You can tell from my answers, like, cannot do a sales call in 15 minutes. There's no way. I tried so hard to get what I wanted in a sales call in 60 minutes. And it just felt like I was going over every time. So I just started booking it for 90 minutes and I structured it intentionally in a way that includes like 45 minutes of a strategy session, time for Q&A, and time for sales pitch, right? Like, and that freed up the pressure on my shoulders so much to feel like I had to rush through. And I had so many kind of mentor or coachy people in my life who were saying, nobody's going to want to do 90 minutes. Nobody's going to want to book a call for 90 minutes. And, like people want no calls or they want the shortest possible calls. And actually, like, I've just never really had a problem with it. You know, maybe there are people who look at it and think, wow, I don't want to do 90 minutes. And you know what? We might not be the best fit to work together because not that I schedule 90-minute sessions with my clients because I don't, but I'm hands-on and I'm a talker and we're going to be engaged with each other and I'm going to know you very intimately and like we're going to work together in a big way on your show. It's not just like a knock it out, send it over and that's it. Like we're going to be strategic about this and team up together. So if it is deterring people, I guess I'm okay with that. But I've had no trouble getting sales calls booked. So I don't think it's deterring as many people as you might think. And for me, it honestly just took pressure off my shoulders and it makes me feel like I'm providing value instead of just asking, like it's a value exchange instead of just asking them to give value to me. It's very much a value exchange of like, I'm giving you, it also comes back to my mission. I'm sorry. I will rush through this last part.
No, keep
This is
going.
like
You're
the
great.
longest answer. So my mission for Podfox is to help more underrepresented voices, either in your industry or in podcasting in general, with a really low barrier to entry to build your own platform and use your voice because we believe your voice matters. And so helping more of those underrepresented voices get past episode 7 because 50% of podcasters quit between episode 7 and 11. So by the way, 7 seasons, you were doing amazing. So if that's really what the goal is to help more people podcast sustainably, then giving away the strategy that would help them get started effectively and to be strategic about starting a podcast and not just like recording content and putting it out there is literally my mission, right? It's what I'm setting out to do. So I think every decision that I make, it really comes back to like the mission and the core values of my business. And that, so a 90-minute strategy session it is.
Well, first off, I, to just tell the listeners, did one of those 90-minute sessions and I walked away with, I don't even know how many action steps. So yes, we talked about how you can support me in the future, but also I walked away with things that I could immediately change the very next day that were very, very valuable. And like you, my discovery calls, I was trying to shorten them. They're currently at 30 minutes, but I go to 45 every single time. So I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, this isn't working. I'm going to book them as an hour. If they finish at 45, that's great. If I have an hour, because for me, one of my Clifton strengths is relator. I love that deep conversation, that one-on-one, and I don't want to rush that. And also it gives me a chance to get the vibe of the person, to really understand where they're coming from, what they need, and if I'm really truly the best person for them. And I don't think I could do that if I didn't spend like 45 minutes to an hour with them at least. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, that's your problem. I can help you. But I may not be the right person to work with them. If I don't get enough information, I may find out that maybe they use a whole bunch of platforms that I don't want to touch ever. And if I don't give time to ask those kind of questions, then I won't really know. And down the road, we'll be like, well, this isn't working very well for either of us. So yes, I'm totally supportive of that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea for you. And especially because, I mean, with what you do to uncover what someone actually even needs, I think is just going to take a little bit of conversing because I think they don't necessarily know what they need. And, your ideal client probably doesn't really know what they need and you're helping them figure that out. Right. Whereas, they might come to you thinking this is what I think I need, and it's going to take some more uncovering. And I just think energetically it changes the whole thing. Now, when I have sales calls on my schedule for the day, I am excited and I leave those calls lit up. And I think how different than like kind of dreading, oh, I got to sell today, right? Like, oh, selling is dirty, selling feels bad. Instead, I'm like, I'm so freaking excited. This is one of my favorite types of calls to do. And I love that I have one or two on my schedule today. Like that's the best feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. When I was looking at them differently as sales calls, then I did dread them. But when I started thinking about how much I love to meet new people and learn about new people, and I approach it from that perspective, one, it gives a completely different vibe and a better representation of who I am on the call. But I love having sales calls. So.
With it being a strategy session for me too, it's like to pat myself on the back. I feel so pumped up of like, yes, Sarah, you know what you're talking about. Listen to how smart you are. Listen to how accomplished you are. Listen to how much you're helping people. I mean, it's so much more tangible than just trying to say like, here's my stats, here's my numbers, like this is my social proof, here's testimonials, like see I'm helping other people. Instead it's like, no, literally I'm helping you right now. This feels good. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm reminded like, yeah, I'm good at my job. So good at my job. I get off strategy sessions thinking that all the time. So good at my job. And what a good feeling that is to have.
I feel the same way if I go back and listen to interviews I've done on other podcasts. My first thought is like, I know my shit. Man, this is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah.
And I think
More of that. More of
exactly.
that. That's doing business your way. More of that.
Yep. And that kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, that it's not just intuition, it's also your experience and your skills and things along those lines.
Yeah.
And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. When we become a new business owner, we tend to think we're starting all over, and we've forgotten all the things that we have brought to the table with us.
And we're comparing ourselves to everybody else in online business, not just in our own niche, although that too, but in every niche, right? You're looking and you're like, everybody's making more money than me. Everybody has more followers than me. Everybody has more sales calls than me. Everybody has a bigger email list than me. Like I'm the one who's struggling and I feel bad and I have to put a presence out there that I'm successful so that people will want to work with me, because nobody want to work with the person who's like, I have no clients, right? So you're trying to put it out there like, oh, I'm doing stuff and I'm having results and I feel great about myself, when really on the inside you feel terrible and you're comparing yourself to everyone. So yeah, I just feel like I don't even know how I got on that tangent now, but I feel like it's wild how we can be so hard on ourselves of all the things we're not. And that imposter syndrome is so real, when the reality is like, you are so much greater than you think you are. And really you have so much value to add to prospective clients. You just have to meet them. Right. Like, but if you can get to that point, yes, of course you can add value, you know?
I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of your business since you began, some of the maybe major changes you've made, why you made those, how they have supported doing business your own way. And as we were talking about right before the call, some of the big changes that happened this year. Can you take us through that journey for a minute?
Yeah. Well, I think like it's really weird to look back at kind of how it started and to think that I had lost my job. The company that I was working for, the part of the company I was working for was sold. So my job was eliminated and I decided I'm going to go all in. I'm going to start a business and there's no opportunity for failure. It just has to work. And I had 3 teenage kids at home and my husband was a grad student. And it was like, it just has to work. So it was just me doing business under my name in the corner of my bedroom. I did not have like a home office space. It was just the corner of my bedroom by myself, just asking people to pay me money and I would do something for them. And that sounds, and not anything like I never dabbled in sex work, right? But as much as it kind of sounds like that, but it was sort of like, here's what I could offer. Somebody please pay me. and that's just how it starts. And now it's really wild to look back and see that I have a team. Obviously, I have a company name. We work under Podfox Media. I actually have a whole trajectory and a plan that I'm working toward, a goal of one day being able to sell my business. So it's building with the end in mind, and it's having an exit strategy. So, and that is something when I started my business, I was hopeful that I would be able to pay my bills. but I never honestly thought when I started my business, one day I could sell this. Like I could be that kind of entrepreneur who like builds businesses and sells them. Are you kidding? And now I like am on a path, like on a plan that I could hopefully potentially sell my business in 5 years and live on that money for the rest of my life if I wanted to. Or I probably won't. Like I probably would start another business. That's me. I love working, but it like I do have a plan now. And so I have a team and Podfox Media has the company name and our primary offer is still the same. It's the done for you production services, that like white glove support, but it's also paid strategy sessions for people who have podcasts. And it's also a low ticket digital subscription option so that if you're a DIYer, you work with another editor, another manager, whatever, and you aren't getting the strategic support, it's also like come be part of this community where you have some self-paced resources and 2 live calls with us every month where we're going through some like really tangible, helpful things. And I think those are some big changes, but it's like, yeah, we're making big moves and there's been changes in the team. Like at this point, I've had a team long enough that I've hired people and they've left, right? Like it's kind of wild. And I heard someone say when I started my business that things kind of happen in phases of 5 years in business. And this is my 5th year of business. So that looking back, this person had been in business for more than 15 years. And she said, looking back, she could see like she could group the first 5 years and then the next 5 years and then the next 5 years and really see just like a significant level up. And for me now coming into my 5th, or I am in my 5th year, I'm like, oh, I can see that because I can see the path of what we're on, of what the next 5 years will include is so different than that first 5 years and how far that's really come. So anyways, all of that to say, I feel like that's really exciting. And if you're still in your first 5 years of business listening, it's just hold on for the ride and just know that like there's so many new versions of your business coming and you don't even know what they're going to look like yet. Like just stay open and like, yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
One of the things you said before we hopped on the call was that we don't talk often enough about the grief that's in business when one stage ends and a new stage begins, that grief process. Can you talk about your experience with that?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up because I definitely kind of painted a sort of rosy picture. And I think that is genuinely how I feel. And also, what you and I were talking about is that my first quarter this year has been so interesting because some of the projects that I've done and some of the things that we're starting in the direction that we're on, I am so proud. It's the work I am proudest of in my life. Those are the words that I used with you. And I am so thrilled at the direction this company is going. And I've been very fascinated in this season to also feel this immense underlying grief. And I think it's important to talk about because I think grief in general is very isolating. But I also never hear people talking about grief in business. And I think we are supposed to be excited and thrilled and eager all the time for the next thing. Like, look how successful I am and kind of showing this. But then it's also a new chapter means the ending of an old chapter. And it is normal and healthy to grieve the old chapters. And I think both good and bad, right? Like I think what I said to you before we started recording is that I love my previous chapters. And so there's grief in that, but there's even grief if it's not a chapter that was all positive, right? We have grief in so many parts of our lives because it's like what our brain and our body knows. And putting yourself physically into a new chapter is going to have a toll on your mindset, your brain chemistry, your nervous system. Like it literally is processing grief. And grief is not just sadness, right? It's a whole bunch of layered emotions and you carry it physically in your body, but it also affects like again, the chemistry part of what's happening in your brain. And I think it's important that we talk about this, A, so that we can feel less alone and we can acknowledge it and call it out for what it is, but B, because I think having an awareness of what that is that's happening inside of you allows you to rest the things that need to be rested, to put in motion and to move and to stretch the things that need to be exercised, and to care for the things that need a little bit of extra care and attention inside of us physically. Like it's not linear, right? Like there's so much that's happening all at the same time, and it is a literal shock to your nervous system. And so with all of the good and all of the struggles and obstacles and stress, like that's a lot of toll. And the bigger the things are, the bigger that toll is. But it's true even for the littlest things, even for changing a system, right? And that seems so silly to say, like, if you change your email service provider, you're going to experience grief. But chemically in your brain, that is true. You are actually experiencing that. And so I think, especially with kind of bigger things, you have clients turnover, you have team members that come and go, or it could be bringing on new team members, and so your team just looks different. It could be that somebody that you loved working with is leaving, or it could be that something goes really seriously wrong between you and someone you're working with. And that's really, that's really a shock to your nervous system. But it can be happy stuff too. And so I think that's important to say, like, you reach a new income level and there's a sense of grief because you are no longer living what you know. What you know is operating at a certain income level, and you move into a different income level. And now it is different. Your life is different. And the way that your relationship with money is different. And your relationship with the way you take up space in the world is different. And there's grief in that. And again, not just sadness. Grief and sadness are not synonyms, right? Sadness can be part of it, but like there's so much in grief. So yeah, I think when we think of grief, we think of death, and that's different because there's no happy side of grief and death. It's just only negative, and hard. But I think grief in other contexts of our lives is important to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even still with death, if it's somebody who was, struggling with an illness that was just horrible, you sometimes feel relief. You may feel guilty, but you sometimes feel relief for that person that they're not having to do that struggle any longer. And I think in business, it's the same. There are times when you feel relief of, thank God that chapter is over, or thank goodness I'm moving on to this chapter. But yeah, you're right. Grief is all kinds of emotions packaged into one, and it's never linear, and you bounce back and forth. They always talk about these are the stages of grief, and it's like, no, they don't go. Wouldn't it be nice? Because you could be like, okay, I've got 2 weeks of denial, and
oh, good, I've reached the bargaining stage. That's a good sign.
Excellent.
Like, yeah, no,
I'm just this much closer to acceptance. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can you tell us maybe about one or two decisions you have made since you started your business that has made it easier for you to do business your way?
Yeah. Okay. I want to come up with something different than unfollowing, because that's what I already said. That's like my best. So, okay, let's say one is the flip side of unfollowing, right? And that's strategically following. So finding people who make you feel great, who echo back to you all the things about you that are great, who make you feel empowered, who light you up, who are a reflection of how you want to take up space. And I don't mean because they have what you want your business to look like. I don't mean that. I mean that their core values and their energy, and it's a match for you. It's what you want to surround yourself with. And I think it actually almost doesn't matter what the point is, right? It doesn't matter whether they're influencers or business people or regular, like I'm not trying to use my social media for anything other than connecting with my friends and family. It doesn't matter who they are, right? But like people who are a reflection, and that's true in like group coaching spaces, in masterminds, and like finding containers to put yourself into friendships, networking relationships, a peer group, your own team members on your team, like people who are going to bring that energy that lights you up and makes you feel safe and makes you feel good and makes you feel hopeful and surround. So I think that's one I would say is a big one. Is the flip side of unfollowing is strategically following, right? Who am I surrounding myself with? And I've heard this referred to in a couple of ways, right? It's like the 5 people you spend the most time with is like a reflection of you. I don't know if I buy into that, but I think the point of it, it's in the right direction. I also think another version of that one of my best friends says all the time is we all have like a 4-inch card, and really what we have the bandwidth 4 is enough people who fit on that 4-inch card, and that's it at any given time. And the people who are on that card may come in, may shift with different circumstances. Now this is what's on my 4-inch card, this is what I'm focused on. But outside of that 4-inch card, like, I don't have enough bandwidth to just love everyone and support everyone and be emotionally there for everyone. So this is what I'm invested in this moment, is this 4-inch card. And I think that kind of gives the same thing of like, what's on your 4-inch card, right? Like, is it stuff that's draining, and is it stuff that's building you up and making you feel better? And some stuff that's draining, we still have to do, right? We have to pay taxes, and we have to go to the dentist, and we have, like some stuff you just have to do it. And it's okay if there are things, but then making sure that they're balanced out with the stuff that makes you feel good about your life. And about your business and what you're doing. So I think that's part of it, is like surrounding myself with people like you, who I feel like your core value set. And, I've said this over and over. Your email list is the only email list that I genuinely like. I open every single one of your emails. There are other people at this point that I like their emails, but your emails specifically are emails I look forward to opening, and it is a core value match for me. The way that you present yourself to the world and the way that you carry yourself in your business matches how I want to be and who I want to surround myself with. And I think, so surrounding yourself with people like that. Yeah.
Since you have a team, do you have like a piece of advice for the listeners who may be looking at adding people to their team? How did you go about making sure that your team members were aligned with how you want to run your business?
Yeah, that's
other than being married to one of them. So
yes, yeah. It's hard. And I mean, that can be hard too. I think I'm lucky in a lot of ways, but I with that especially. But I think that being as transparent as possible about the way that you work, clear communication about like, where are we going? How are we hoping to get there? What would the ideal person, what would you be looking for in the ideal person? And are they going to be people who can really follow a really itemized checklist, or are they going to be people who don't need a checklist to get from point A to point B, right? Like those are different types of people. And the more you can kind of be clear on that kind of communication up front, and also reciprocating that in reverse, right? Like, what do you need from me? If this is the end goal for like, this is what we want to accomplish with your role. If this is the end goal, what do you need? What do you need from me in order to be successful? And I think another big thing that is really important to me in how I work with my team is trying to assess the time management of the tasks that they have on their plate. And so I will set an expectation when I give them something, especially if it's something new, and say, this is when I need it to be complete, or this is when I need it returned, or whatever it is. It could be urgent, it could be not, right? Most of the time it's not, because I don't work in brain surgery, I work in podcasting. So like most stuff is not urgent, but it'll be like, here's something, this is when I would like it done. A, is that a realistic timeline for you? And B, this is what I think it should cost you in time, right? This is what I think it should take, because then I can also reassess with them after of like, hey, how much time did it take you? But it's also letting them know how much effort they should put into it. So if you say like, hey, can you make this write up for me? And you say, I think this should take you approximately 10 minutes, then obviously you're not expecting a lot. Like, I want you to sit down, brain dump it, and be done. If I say, hey, can you do this write up for me? I'm expecting this might take 8 to 10 hours. And it's like, you're going to be doing research, you're going to be sitting down, you're going to be refining it, you're going to be revising it. If somebody told me, I expect that this might take you 8 to 10 hours to do, is Friday realistic for you to get that done? I would be able to look at my schedule and say like, do I have 8 to 10 hours to devote to it? And also, that really sets the expectation of me of what you're expecting in that return. So I think that's like a big thing, is just clear communication on both sides. And also, one more thing that I would say is giving a person time to adapt, because unless you're doing brain surgery, you can pretty much anybody can learn how to do a task. Like, there isn't really any job we're doing in online business that like anybody couldn't just learn how to do. It's just going to take people different time to learn it and to get it done in the way that you both mutually want it to be done, right? That works for both of you. And so there might be some grind it till you find it kind of time that needs. So I generally am of the mentality that like, you're not going to know that somebody is not a good fit most of the time for at least 90 days. Like you really need time to learn and to adjust. And I think especially somebody coming into your business green, like they don't know anything about what you're doing. So there's not just getting acclimated to the actual tasks, but it's also like, what is your book of business like? What do you even offer? Where can I find all of the things I need to find? Like, I don't know that yet coming into your team, right? So I think being really patient and tolerant that like there is going to be a ramp up period. And I think that's a big reason why people say hire before you're ready, because I think if you wait until you desperately need somebody and then you have ramp up time, it's tough. But I also think that hire before you're ready is really, that sounds great, but like I can't hire until I'm ready. Like I can't hire until I know what I want them to do and what my budget is to pay them. Like that's just true. So so I say that with a grain of salt, which is, so you need them, but you also have to know it's going to take more of you before it's taking less of you, if that makes sense. Like you have to lean in to really get that person fully onboarded. So it's actually going to take more of your time before it actually frees you up by bringing someone on.
Yeah.
Just expect that.
Yep. My time as a VA and my time now with the work that I do, I heard often people were going through VAs, but they were only giving them like a month. And yes, sometimes those VAs really should have been let go because of the things
Right.
that they chose to do. But I've had the same experience, 90 days. There's a learning curve. How do you like to communicate? How do I like to communicate? All of those things go into that. And it is more work in the front end just to get to know each other. I always plan on more meetings in like that first month or even first 90 days than what we'll do after those first 90 days. Because by then we're like, oh, we'll just hop on Voxer and we'll be able to figure it out, as opposed to like, let's walk through everything on Zoom. So yes, you definitely need to do that.
And even that's going to vary person to person, right? Some people really thrive with meetings, and some people, A, they don't have the bandwidth, and B, that's not how they learn, right? Like that's not how they communicate. So it has to be in writing, right? I've worked with people client wise that are both ways, people who need things in writing and need checklists and need like, give me a specific task list. I've also had people who said to me, do not send it to me in email. I can't process that way. I need it verbal. So then it has to be a voice memo, right? That's the only way that they can process that info. And so I think, yeah, learning each other is going to take time. And if you can set some of those expectations before you even bring someone on, this is how I like to communicate. Like if somebody was able to say to me, I can't do stuff in writing, I can't do like long emails, I can't do checklists, then actually that might not be the best fit for me. That is how I best operate. And so if I can set that expectation clearly, is like, I'm looking to hire somebody who's going to thrive in this environment, that can actually kind of save that a little bit. And it's not to say that I couldn't work with somebody who is a verbal or an auditory learner, but that's going to be a tougher fit for both of us. So,
Sarah, what piece of advice, or what would Sarah right now say to Sarah 5 years ago on day one of your business?
I just answered a thread about this, and I think if I could do anything, I would like, this can get emotional, but like I'd sit next to myself and I would give myself a hug because I was reeling, right? And especially 5 years ago, I guess even really 5 years ago is right before I started my business, so I didn't actually know. But if I say like at the very beginning of my business, which is more like 4.5 years ago, I would sit down next to myself and I would give myself a hug and I would say, "This is going to work. This is going to work. Like believe in yourself. Believe in this. It is going to work." And I still like, this is wild because I literally have team members, but like every time I pay my bills, and especially because my husband works in my business, as you said, so like this literally, like this is our income. Every time we pay our bills every single month, it's like we look at each other and just pinch ourselves and say like, this is just something we just made up and it just funds our life. Like look around. This whole life is afforded by something we just made up. So yeah, I would tell myself 5 years ago, I don't think I'm very receptive to people telling me what to do. I think sometimes I get a little rebellious in that way of like, even myself. I'm not good at like meal planning because I just want to rebel. Like if I know Wednesday night dinner is supposed to be meatloaf, I'm like, I want anything but meatloaf. Like I won't eat a meatloaf. So anyways, I think I rebel especially against myself, which probably there's some coaching to be done there. But I think I wouldn't try to tell myself this is what you should do, this is what you should do differently or anything. I think it would just be like, got this. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. And it's amazing.
And it is. You've been able to build a life that you really want, doing something that you really enjoy doing, and you're not having to like sit with somebody else's schedule and somebody else's demands on your time. You've got your clients, but
total time freedom or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, how cool is my job that I get paid to listen to people's podcasts? I mean, like, literally, that what a cool freaking job I have. This is wild, and I could just do that and just like afford my life.
Yep.
And the cost of living is going up, but I mean, I'm the first, my rent is paid, right? Like that's so cool. And not to say like I want for nothing. Obviously, I would love for it to not be rent. I would love to own a home. Just getting harder and harder every year in this market, but I'd love to own my home. I'd love to travel more. There's so many things that I'd love to have, right? That it's not that I want for nothing, but like, yeah, I love this life. I love this life. Yeah, it's good.
Where can the listeners find you?
So I mostly hang out on Instagram and Threads. So that's at Sarah K. Heeter. But if you're not like an Instagram person, I'm also on LinkedIn at Sarah K. Heeter, and I'm also on Facebook. I also have a website, podfoxmedia.com, and there's a bunch of resources on there if you have a podcast or if you're thinking of starting a podcast. We mentioned the 90-minute launch strategy session. So if you have been thinking a podcast is on your list for 2024, it's been on your mind, people tell you you'd be great at it, let's chat. I would love to brainstorm with you. It's 100% free. But even if you aren't ready to get on a call, there's a bunch of resources on there for you to self-paced poke through, work on, whether you have one or you're thinking of having a podcast. So that's just podfoxmedia.com.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah.
Thanks for having me back. We covered a lot.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Thank you for listening to another episode of Here's What I Learned. You can find the show notes and transcripts at jackiehayes.online/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a review and follow the show. Be sure to find me on Instagram at JackieHayes_OBM and let me know what you learned from this episode. Catch you next time on Here's What I Learned.